Good afternoon to all the viewers of GIS. This is Julian Morris. I'm with the GIS team here at the Douglas Charles Airport. You are joining us now for live broadcast of the arrival of the Honourable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. He's coming in, of course, as many of you know, from the Republic of Cuba, where a great honor was bestowed upon him, the Order of Jose Marti. And at this point, well, I should tell you that the American Eagle flight landed about just after midday, after 12, about 10 past 12 this afternoon. Of course, to the pleasure, I would say, of the people, Dominicans here and abroad, viewing, those, of course, at the Douglas Charles Airport who have been waiting for the arrival, with great anticipation, the arrival of the Prime Minister. There was an attempt yesterday for the Prime Minister to actually come in, but that was not possible due to poor weather conditions. And so here we are today. Finally, the Prime Minister, the Honourable Roosevelt Skerrit, has made it home. And this is a historical day for Dominica in that we are celebrating as a nation this great honor which has been bestowed upon the Prime Minister. An honor, in fact, which has been bestowed upon, I think from what I understand, about 8 or so. He would probably be the ninth leader of a country who would have received the Jose Marti Award. And the Prime Minister, of course, is joining the likes of great leaders such as Nelson Mandela and Hugo Chavez. So it is really a historical event here today, considering the award which has been bestowed upon the Prime Minister. There is a program already in place as to what will happen, the chronology of events this afternoon. The Prime Minister, after he leaves the aircraft with the delegation accompanying him, there will be, of course, he'll go through the receiving line of government officials, and this will be followed by his he will quickly move to the VIP lounge here at the Douglas Charles Airport. This will be followed by media briefing, where I'm sure the Prime Minister will make comments and take a few questions. And there we see the Prime Minister leaving the aircraft right now. And this is what I would say the Dominicans have been waiting for. The crowd here at the airport, the dignitaries, the officials here, the government officials here at the airport, and others, as well as Dominicans across the country who have been anticipating the arrival of the Prime Minister since he received this great honor in Cuba, in the Republic of Cuba. So it is a done deal. The Prime Minister is home finally. He had a 3-day, practically spent a 3-day official visit in Cuba, and where he was honored, as we mentioned earlier, with the Order of Jose Marti. And at this point, we are still focused on the entourage there accompanying him, coming across the tarmac. Eventually, I can see, and I'm sure you can as well, we can see the Prime Minister's wife, the Honourable Melissa Skerrit, is there. The Senior Minister Reginald Osry, who was acting Prime Minister while in the Prime Minister's absence. And quite a number here, as you can see, he's approaching. He's approaching, I believe, is that the Speaker of the House, I believe, yes. And the Honourable Kasani Laville is shaking hands with the Prime Minister there. He's going down the line, meeting the members of Cabinet there who are there to receive him. Basically, he's the receiving party there. He's being embraced by the members of Cabinet who have been anticipating his arrival. He just embraced the Minister for Education there. He's going down the line rather quickly. That was Kozia Frederick there, and the Minister for Tourism right after. So he as you can see, he continues to be welcomed there by the delegation of ministers of members of cabinet, ministers of government, all having been anticipating the arrival of the Prime Minister. Now having met them, he's coming across now. He's walking astride, walking just along with his. I see, yes, Mrs. Skerrit is right there with him, right by his side, where absolutely, she's right by his side. They're coming into the heading for the lounge, the VIP lounge, which is where we will hear the Prime Minister perhaps make a statement, and you will have questions and answers at that point. There will be an opportunity for reporters to ask a few questions of the Prime Minister.
Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Mrs. Melissa Skerrit, Parliamentary Representative for the Rosa Central Constituency, Honourable Joseph Isaac, Speaker of the House of Assembly, Honourable Reginald Austri, Senior Minister and Minister for Housing and Urban Development, other honourable members of Cabinet, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Ms. Karen Prevost, Cabinet Secretary, Ms. Dennis Edwards, the Financial Secretary, permanent secretaries, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome. Prime Minister, a special welcome to you and congratulations on being awarded the Order of Jose Marti on Tuesday. On Tuesday, April 26, by the government and people of the Republic of Cuba. Congratulations, Prime Minister, and welcome home. During this afternoon's brief ceremony, we will hear from the Senior Minister, Honourable Skerrit, and the Prime Minister, who will brief us on his official visit to Cuba. Following this, we will take questions from members of the media who are here with us. I now call on the Honourable Skerrit to deliver remarks.
Thank you very much. Pleasant good morning to all. Honourable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit and Mrs. Skerrit, Speaker of the House of Assembly, Joseph Isaac, other honourable members of Cabinet, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Cabinet Secretary, Ms. Prevost, Financial Secretary, Mr. Edwards, other permanent secretaries, members of the media, Dominicans listening both here and abroad, members, supporters, and friends of the Dominican Labour Party, ladies and gentlemen. In my 30 or so years as being a member of Parliament, I can confess that this is one of the most emotional moments I've experienced in my entire sojourn. I've worked with the Prime Minister for the last 16 years as Prime Minister. And though he has received many accolades, 2 doctorates, and accolades via media and from international organizations via press releases, but to me, this one stands out, not as a crowning moment of his career, because we expect him to receive many more as he continues to work in the interest of humanity, both here and throughout the entire world, but because this is coming from a nation that is recognized by the international community for its hard work, its dedication, and its cause to humanity. I want to welcome, well, this is not a doctorate, so I was going to add the 3rd doctor to it, but that's not a doctorate. But I want to welcome you back home, sir, and to say to you that the people of Dominica were in great anticipation of your arrival. Even while still in Cuba, the congratulatory messages and the whole media bliss was as powerful as it could ever get.
If you are at the airport, please identify yourself to the check-in counter agent. Once again, this is a PH for passenger Leah Little, traveling American Airlines Flight 9631, so this is to Miami. If you are at the airport, please identify yourself to the counter check-in agent. Thank you.
Prime Minister, you'd be surprising to know the caliber of people who understood the reason why you were awarded this very prestigious title. The ordinary man on the ground, the ordinary man throughout the rural communities, the ordinary man who felt that he would never have had a place in this society had it not been for your love, your care, and your intervention. And equally so, you'll be surprised to know that persons who you believe would know, persons who were supposed to know, and the cold water that they seem to have poured on this very important accolade. But I can say to you, Prime Minister, that the voices of the less fortunate were much stronger than the voices of those who didn't want to see this happen. And so, Prime Minister, you're coming back to a country where the people understand the value of having you as the Prime Minister of Dominica. Well, like I said, people who had no voice, people who had no homes, people who had no access to decent health care, people who had no access to education, they're the ones who are really enjoying this moment because they know what it means to them. And they know that had it not been for you, they would have never been given such an opportunity. Cuba, as I've said, has made its mark on world history, has survived over 50 years of embargo, and yet still have been able to prove to the world that in spite of the embargo, by the resilience of the people, by the zeal of the people, by decent and solid leadership, that they have basically conquered and overcome most of the challenges. They still have a long way to go. And they having chosen you for this prestigious award, it means, Prime Minister, that you have earned it and you have done exceedingly well. And in that regard, you can be likened to the people who have received this before you. Great world leaders. And so you have now joined the ranks, Prime Minister, of a great leader that history will record that you probably have been one of the greatest leaders to ever serve in the Caribbean region. Prime Minister, there is still a lot more work to be done. And as a member of your cabinet, and speaking on behalf of your cabinet colleagues, I want to pledge our unwavering support to you as you seek to improve the lives and the destiny of the people of this country. May God continue to bless you, Prime Minister, and may you continue to be with us. There's still a lot of work to be done. And we know that one of those days you will have to call it quits. But as far as I'm concerned, that time is still in the distant future. Thank you very much, PM. This award is not only yours, but it's an award for the country. And I dare say that the eyes of the world, those that were still closed, will now open up to find out who is this leader from this small, tiny, unknown country who can rise to be counted among some of the greatest leaders this universe, this planet have ever seen. Thank you, Prime Minister. May God continue to bless you and bless your family for the support that they have given you along this journey. And may your life be lengthened and your vision and your wisdom continue to grow, that you can take this country to a much better place. Thank you. God bless you.
All thanks to Honourable Ostry for his remarks. And at this time, I ask you to join me as we invite and welcome the Honourable Prime Minister, the recipient of the Order of Jose Marti, to address us.
The reality is, those who know me very well would know that I would have come in quietly and simply head home, you know. But I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to recognize our Senior Minister, Honourable Reginald Ostry, our Speaker of the House of Assembly, Honourable Joseph Isaac, and of course all of my cabinet and parliamentary colleagues who are present here. Members of the Diplomatic Corps, Ms. Corinne Prevost, the Cabinet Secretary, Ms. Dennis Edwards, the Financial Secretary, permanent secretaries, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, and of course Ms. Jura Smith, our moderator. I want to thank all of you for the very warm welcome, and certainly it makes my homecoming all the more special and significant to be among you, my peers, who continue to stand firmly with me in the governance of our beautiful country, Dominica. Indeed, I feel a deep sense of honor and pride and a profound sense of humility to have received this award from the government and people of Cuba. The Order of Jose Marti holds immense significance for the people of Cuba, and I was humbled to be considered worthy of such a magnificent tribute. Jose Marti, the national hero of Cuba, embodied his country's fight for independence, for self-determination, and for the autonomy to map the destiny, free from the ties of the colonial past. After the 3 days spent in Cuba, I can tell you that the sentiments of pride and patriotism are as dominant in the Cuban people today as when Marti advocated for moral and ethical values, cultural enlightenment, and independence for Cuba in the late 19th century. The award was a resounding vote of confidence in my advocacy at the local, regional, and international levels to advance the freedoms of people everywhere. As an ardent advocate of wider regional integration, I have taken pride in helping to foster closer ties between CARICOM states and countries of Latin America. And the government of Dominica has certainly been consistent in our calls for the Cuban people and state to be allowed their rightful place among our family of nations. I am gratified that I, and by extension the government and people of Dominica, have been recognized for our sincere efforts in that regard. The reality is, I accepted this award on behalf of every single Dominican. I grabbed the opportunity to express our profound gratitude for Cuba's deep and unwavering commitment to the well-being of the Dominican people. Cuba's economy, as we all know, has been severely impacted by the imposition of a 6-decade-long blockade by the United States. On behalf of the government and people of Dominica, I pledged our unwavering solidarity and support for Cuba in the international arena and for resolutions which advance the country's development and safeguard the rights and interests of the Cuban people. I give the President, His Excellency Diaz Bermudez, the assurance that we will continue to advocate for the normalization of relations with Cuba and the lifting of sanctions for enhanced peace, stability, and economic growth. Despite the substantial disadvantages of the economic embargo, Cuba continues to provide valuable support and assistance to Dominica and to many of our counterparts in the region. I refer to the many years of collaboration between our two states in the areas of education, health, culture, and social services. Through the Dominica-Cuba Scholarship Program, launched in November 1979, hundreds of Dominicans have received professional training in Cuba in various fields of study. The Cuban graduates are accredited as major contributors to Dominica's social and economic development and have changed the country's intellectual and professional landscape. Many Cuban graduates, among them doctors, vets, dental surgeons, foresters, agronomists, architects, and civil engineers, hold key positions within the private and public sectors in Dominica, while others are building careers in countries around the world. Several doctors currently on staff at our national hospital are Cuban trained, many of whom have pursued specialty degrees in the various arms of medicine and now form the pillar of our health system. Following the devastation of Tropical Storm Erica in 2015, Hurricane Maria in 2017, and now a global pandemic, Cuba has supported Dominica with the deployment of health professionals, including nurses, doctors, and lab technicians, to assist in the administration of care and the management of COVID-19. Last year, our respective ministries of health signed a new cooperation agreement, further cementing our long-standing collaboration in the areas of health and serving as another example of the excellent bilateral relations we enjoy. These contributions are indeed significant, and I assured the Cuban authorities of our commitment to even closer ties and collaboration in the areas of culture, education, health, agriculture, and disaster mitigation. We agreed to embrace an even brighter future for Cuba-Dominica relations. While in the Spanish-speaking country, the Dominican delegation met with a number of Dominican students, and I listened closely to accounts of their experiences. They were assured of our firm support as they continue to pursue studies, with hopes of returning to their home country to build progressive lives, assist their families, and contribute to national development. My dear friends, my focus as leader of this country remains on the creation of opportunities for all our people to thrive and achieve their dreams for better lives. Once again, I thank all of you for being here to offer your support. I feel your pride and the pride of the Dominican people in this honor that has been conferred on me. I must tell all of you that I am equally proud of you, of our collective efforts as a people and nation to confront adversity and emerge triumphant time and time again. like the Cuban people, we have demonstrated that we are imbued with an enduring pride, determination, and an inner strength to succeed. I say to our young people in Dominica that your circumstance in life should not determine your future. You need to ensure that the opportunities that you have, you take advantage of it. You don't have to go look far. Look at Roosevelt Skerrit, and you will make a determination for yourself. And I said to my colleagues, we have work to do. Let us continue to work together to better the lives of the Dominican people. That's our mission, and that's our commitment. But we also have a commitment to the rest of the world to ensure that peoples everywhere of the world can be given a decent opportunity to a decent life. And I know tonight we will be at the stadium. And so at the stadium, I shall give a political speech. I shall give a political speech because there are some things I will say at the stadium I can't say here. But I am happy to be back here, and for me, it was a sense of profound humility. And I can say to the world that when I was informed by the Cuban authorities through the ambassador resident in Dominica that the president had issued a decree to bestow this on me, it took me a couple of days before I said yes to the ambassador. Because what I do is not for any recompense. I do it as a matter of principle. And I do it as a commitment, not only to our Dominican people, but to the rest of the world. And the Lord has placed me in a position, and that's what I'm doing to advance his work on earth. I say to everybody that I'm just an instrument doing the Lord's work, and this is what we continue to do. So I'm grateful to all of you for being here, and to show solidarity and to express your commendations. I thank you very, 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 very much and profoundly. Words cannot express my gratitude to all of you for coming here twice in a week. I know when we have to travel to do the trek to Douglas Charles is always a challenge, and to come here twice and so on. And I know that there are some elements in the society who say, oh, you know, he couldn't land yesterday and so forth. But sometimes these people forget that there is a God, you know. You know, they look at things so narrow in their own narrow political person. The Lord decides. The Lord decided I had to come back to Dominica on Friday. And he caused me the plane to land this Friday, and I'm here in Dominica. But I will also say to them that the Lord will bless us with our international airport. The more they talk is the greater motivation I get to even working harder for the greater good of Dominican people. So I like when they talk negatively sometimes, because as there's heaven, there's hell. As there's good, there's bad. We in this Labour Party will always take to the side of good, so that when the Lord comes to judge the living and the dead, we can account for what we've done. And he will say, well done, good and faithful servants. Go to the pearly gates. Thank you. But this afternoon, I'll be in red this afternoon. So, thank you very much. Thank you.
Attention please, passengers checking out in boarding passes on the service flight number 392, destined to St. Antigua. Please proceed.
All right, well, if our listeners and viewers wanted any further proof that we are at an airport. All right, so Honourable Prime Minister, thank you so much for your remarks. And at this point, I'd like to invite the members of the media who are here to interact some more with the Prime Minister. You may pose questions to the Prime Minister about his official visit to Cuba.
Yes, thank you very much, Senior Jura. Curtis Matthew from BBS Radio. A question for the Prime Minister. He's, Prime Minister, you received 7 awards over the years. Where does this one fit in terms of importance as far as you're concerned?
Or I meet in the streets. You know, I appreciate this. As I said, we don't in the government, in the Labour Party, we don't do anything for any reward, any commendation. We do so because this is our duty, our obligation, and our commitment to the people. And our party has been founded on those principles. For one to appreciate this award, I mean, you have received one in our countries, and I'm sure you understand. I'm sure you know how your family and everybody felt that you were recognized by your country. It is one thing also to be recognized by your country, but it's also another thing to be recognized by another country. And Jose Marti, if we read up on Jose Marti, we understand how the Cuban people, and indeed the entire Latin America, view Jose Marti for his fight for independence and justice and peace. And so Jose Marti is Cuba's national hero. He's revered among every Cuban national. And Cuba is made up of millions of people. And for a young boy from the village of Vacas to be recognized by the Cuban people in that regard certainly is something noteworthy. So it is certainly a huge accolade to have been bestowed upon me by the Cuban people.
Just a follow-up question, because President Morrison has been going.
Is uncompromising. These are principles that we stand strong to. We don't negotiate in those principles. We negotiate words, as I keep saying, but we don't negotiate those principles. And every human being, that's what Christ lived for, to deal with issues of injustice and peace. And if we want, we have to seek to emulate those things. And so it certainly will strengthen my resolve to do this. People will know that when you stand on principle, sometimes you become a target. And I've become a target in many instances by, you know, certain, what are you talking about, you know? But that should not cause one to lose sight of his or commitment to this. So it is certainly going to strengthen my resolve for this. And so I thank the Cuban people for the recognition of the work that we have been doing, because I'm doing this work on behalf of the government of Dominica.
Prime Minister Skerrit, congratulations to you on this award. This award now places you in the ranks of Hugo Chavez, Nelson Mandela. This is a tremendous honor for you. Could you speak to the question of the fact that for a long time, our small country, people tend to look outside for role models. But here you are. I mean, here you are. Yeah. So speak to this need for us to look around us and see what's there, especially in light of what you have accomplished.
Well, we have to ensure first and foremost that we are committed to our country, and in a positive way. You know, we hear people speak negatively of Dominica, but what is it going to achieve? We can criticize. There's a difference between criticizing and condemning or maligning. There are people out there who are maligning our country, our own country, the country that they live in, you know, and they behave as if they're not part of Dominica. And so we have to speak to them. I will say to you that I came back from the United States in 1997, and I was also going back to the United States in 1998, having earned myself a scholarship from the World Bank, financed by the World Bank, to do a master's and a PhD in the United States. And I asked myself, when the people of Penville and Vickers and Tibo were asking me to contest, you know, as you know, I was very young at the time. I'm still young today, so. Well, I was younger at the time. I would say. I was younger at the time. And I asked myself a question. You know, if I run and I lose and I move on, or if I don't run and I go out and do this PhD and come back, and the people are worse off, how would I be able to live among them? And I decided to give up the scholarship and to contest elections as my commitment to the people and my desire to make a contribution to, firstly, to my constituency, and secondly, of course, to Dominica. So, life is about choices. You either choose to be positive or negative. You understand? Growing up, I don't drink alcohol, you know, but I never used any form of drugs. So I never smoked marijuana or anything like that. You know, not that smoking something not too bad sometimes. But I think it's the abuse of it that's the problem. You know. You just have to make your contribution and do it positively, and always ensure that you do it not for yourself but for the people, because we here in the Labour Party, we are all in this because of the people, and this is why I say that when you look at the Labour Party, every one of my colleagues, everyone has made a sacrifice to be here. And in life, when you're serving people, you must show what sacrifice you're making. Because it is a vocation, it's not an everyday job. All of them will tell you that they never realized politics that way. They were school principals, doctors and so on, lawyers and so forth, they're business people, because it is a completely different world in terms of your roles and functions and responsibilities. And so if you have not made a sacrifice, you will not seek to make people's life better. This is why the other side is not interested in anything constructive. They're not interested in any development. They don't empathize with people, because empathy is the most difficult thing in life, you know. To relate to people's struggles and to see what you can do to make it better. That is the crux of the responsibility as a politician. And if all these guys are interested in is negative talk and destroying this and breaking down this, you know, so it tells you the clear difference between us and them. You have to be able to show what sacrifice you're making to represent people. And if you have made any sacrifice, if you wait until you retire, many years later, and you come in, or you were unemployed and you say, boy, let me see if I can get a job there. First let me run and let me see if I can, you know. And this is where the frustration comes from them, because they have not been able to articulate any real concern for the Dominican people. And therefore the Dominican people do not trust them and cannot place their trust in them. And Dominicans know that in difficult times, once the fact that they know that Labour is in government, they feel a sense of comfort and peace. As a matter of fact, there are many United Workers' Party supporters who will tell you, albeit they may not say so in loud voices, will tell you, well, it's a good thing Labour in government, because if it was our people there, we would be in trouble. And that happened in Erica, it happened in Maria, and it happened during the pandemic. And so you have to be so sacrificing. And because that's where your motivation is coming. The motivation comes from the fact that you view this as a vocation. And you can look at any of our colleagues and you'll see this.
You have gotten very bit of flack when it comes to the housing programs and the social programs specifically. Unfortunately, you have come in for a lot of criticism there. And one would say perhaps this award is perhaps a culmination of some of the things in the policies of your administration, what you've done. Could you speak to that?
But anybody who would criticize a government for creating a shelter for someone, or anybody who would criticize the government for putting clothes on people's backs, or anybody who would criticize the government who needs some help with some social intervention at any one time, has not been reading the Bible at all. Because at the core of this very important Bible, which is our guide to living good among people and our quest to go to a better place called heaven, speaks to not how many times we pray, how many times we go to church. It asks you whether you're your neighbor's keeper. It asks you, whether you're your neighbor's keeper, and what have you done for the least of my brothers? And what do they define as the things that you can do for the least of my brothers? Christ asked his disciples some parables, questions about being hungry, about being naked. And, what were their response? They thought that Christ was talking about himself. No, he said, not me. The least of them. And so for us in the Labour Party, this is not a political responsibility only. It is a biblical and Christian responsibility. And yes, as time goes by, the programs will evolve. You learn more and you understand more, and it will evolve. You understand? But we have to understand the fact that we have a responsibility to enhance the dignity of the human person. And what do I say to an 84-year-old lady who is homeless? What do I say to her? Or these 6 families who we build homes for in Melville Hall, in the Marigot constituency. One of the ladies there, she has about 7 or so children. And now she is in a 3-bedroom house in Marigot. And the children can do their homework. And so you see, they're so quick to criticize what's happening. They have not taken time, even those who are supposed to be better intellectually, to understand the impact of this housing or these social programs on the way of life of people. And the impact on health, the impact on education, the impact on people's mental state. And so this is why they criticize, because, as I said, they did not come to serve people. And if you do not come to serve people, you will not understand, you will not empathize with them. Empathy is a very difficult thing, because you have to stop and listen to people. You have to go to see where they live and where they work, and understand their condition. And when you go there and you see their condition, you must be able to define and devise a way to get them out of that situation. But these things must also be inculcated in you growing up. It's not something you can learn in school. You understand? It has to be part of you. And the same way I run the country, the same way I run my house. That when you come to my home, you will sit on the same table I'm sitting. And you will eat from the same plate I'm eating. Like there's no 2 different plates, no. And if you come to my home and there's food there and there's not enough, I'll let you eat first and then I will eat later. I may have to cook a second pot. That's how life was growing up with my grandmother and my aunt in Vegas. That when the strangers came, we treated them the best, irrespective of who the stranger was. So, being a member of parliament, being a minister is hard work. It is a 24-hour job. And these people are not ready for hard work. Walking the streets of Roseau, the most you can do is to lose a few calories, you know. There's not much you're gonna achieve for yourself or anybody. You know, if you're talking about the environment and you want to help the environment, then go and clean the beach, go and plant trees. You know, go and clean the rivers. That's what the environment is about. Not walking in Roseau, loitering and littering in the city.
I find it fascinating that in 1972, the Marti Award was instituted. And here you are, and I think that's the correct award. And here you are receiving this award. I find it very fascinating. I'm not sure if you want to comment on that. Some of your questions.
Well, I get about 1972, and I will hit the big 50 soon. And they say when you get to 50, you must celebrate. So I will have a few opportunities where people can celebrate and so on. And 50, yeah.
Your discussions with the Cuban officials, maybe.
Well, yes, we had very good discussions with them. My colleagues with me led the discussions with their counterparts. In agriculture in particular, we're going to engage the Cubans in a very comprehensive program. As you know, we have set a target for ourselves in Dominica to increase the contribution of agriculture to the GDP from 300 or so, as it is now, to 700 million by 2030. And there are a number of actions we have identified in the cabinet that we need to take to get us there. And one of the things that is very important where agriculture is concerned, especially if we're tree crops, citrus, mangoes, avocados, etc., is with regards to the quality of the plant, propagation. And so we are going to be working with Cuba very closely, because Cuba has great expertise and knowledge on propagation. So we're going to be getting a lot of support from them to relaunch, for want of a better word, our crop propagation program in Dominica. Because to achieve this $700 million, we really have to go the route also of using technology more. And we've articulated a number of initiatives, one of which is use young professionals in agriculture and targeting certain crops. The Cubans will also be coming to look at our abattoir and how we can enhance its capacity and its capabilities. So far they did a good job there, Mr. Etienne and others, but certainly we can do more. And so we see how we can augment on this. So very soon they will send a team there to see what we have and look at what our resources they will need to send to us to help us advance the agricultural program there. Very exciting there. And of course, area of health, Cuba is a major manufacturer of pharmaceuticals. And they also have gone very strong for the plant-based pharmaceuticals as well. And it's something that we'll be looking at engaging them on. And so there's a cooperation agreement to that. We have also been receiving about 5,000 doses of the Cuban vaccines. We're arranging for its transportation. And also issue of the environment. The Ministry of Environment, we've been talking in the cabinet about launching a major reforestation program. And so we'll be getting some technical assistance from Cuba to assist us with the reforestation program, the replanting of trees and ensuring that our ecosystems can be protected and so forth. And as you know, we were severely affected, our forests, by the hurricane. So we have a lot of plans, but we now have to put the plan out on the reforestation program, but also the maintenance program as well. and so we're getting some assistance from Cuba with this as well. In regards to international airport, they'll also be we'll be engaging a lot of Cuban experts who will serve as government advisors on a number of aspects of the airport construction. With regards to the lab and the soil testing, we will also be getting engineers to oversee the quality of construction. So it's a whole set of opportunities there that we have discussed with the Cuban authorities. And at some point, the ministers who are with me will brief the press on more of the details in this regard. And I also met with the students. I met with the students. I know the FS is here, and whenever she hears an increase, you know, but I give a commitment to the students that we will increase the stipend which government gives to them monthly in Cuba. To take into consideration inflation, etc. And no, it won't only for the Dominican students in Cuba, but those who study in Morocco. We have a few in Morocco. We also have those in China who receive the monthly allowance from the government. So we'll be increasing this. They gave me a range. So I appointed them as my advisors at the meeting, and they gave me a range. But they're very, very determined students. Like everywhere else, I mean, there are challenges, and they go for the challenges. But they're determined to go through the program and to complete it. There are some who will be coming back as specialists. One from River Sirik, one from Granby, well, two from Granby, who will be coming back and to make a contribution, and they're very excited. And Dr. Mark, they've told me that they have no difficulty in going to the out districts. They would like to go to Marigot and to Portsmouth to work, so which is important and so on.
In the Vegas constituency, we still have there were two leaders. One, Oliver, who has done something to Dominica, and yourself. I would like to speak on the for two constituents, because when you become Prime Minister or Parliamentary representative, the people of the Yucatan will elect you in and become Prime Minister. I'd like to speak to the people of the Yucatan, where you're telling them how you feel about they trusting you and you bring them to the
Well, the Vegas constituency is, I don't think we can compare that constituency with any constituency anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. You have the most sincere and committed and supportive people you can find anywhere in the world. I have not had a political meeting in that constituency since January 2000. And every election we've had an increase in votes. It speaks to the commitment of the people there. So they have never let me down, and they're always my source of strength and motivation, always. So no matter what happens around the world, when I go to my constituency, I am at peace, and it speaks to the commitment of the people. Very sincere. They don't play games. If they're with you, they're with you. They don't play games with them. And very sincere people. And so this award is really for them in large measure, for them. And I'm speaking of every strata of the community in terms of the demographics, age demographics, the senior citizens, the middle age, and especially the young people. The young people are certainly solidly with me always, but the reality is we've transformed this constituency. We're not here to talk about the constituency today, but certainly we transformed this constituency and more to come. One more question.
Mr. Prime Minister, did you discuss the U.S. trade embargo on Cuba during your visit? As Dominica advances plans for an international airport, what is going to be the future of this Douglas Shots airport?
I'll take your last question first. I remember somebody asked me this question this week. I think, well, certainly the building can be used as some training facility some training facility for sure. There'll be ideas that will come up. But for me personally, especially for the young people, I wouldn't mind using the runway as a track for car racing and motorbike racing and so on. And it will be away from the roads and so on. So a lot of these guys in Baffin State and Roseau and elsewhere who normally want to use the road in Baffin State and close the road, and there'll be opportunities for them to come up here. And because there are a lot of Dominicans who go to different islands to participate in bike races and so on. So we'll have an opportunity to host our own races in Dominica. So that will be, this is not a cabinet decision yet, you know, I must give my personal views on this. That let us get into the car racing business and the motorcycle racing business in a safe environment and so forth. Okay? The first question, I mean, our position on calling on the United States to remove the embargo on Cuba is not an anti-America position. And that's the confusion people have. It's not an anti-America position. Clearly, the entire world, as a matter of fact, at the United Nations consistently, for the last 10 or so years, only 2 countries have voted against the removal of the embargo against Cuba. That is the United States and Israel. So the entire world, and if you do a poll in the United States of America, you'll find that the majority of American citizens will tell you that this embargo should be removed. So it's an issue of injustice and the need for the Cuban people to really be afforded the opportunity to be part of the world system, because you know everything goes for the US dollar, the SWIFT code and all these things. And to be part of the mainstream economic system. And if you look at what Cuba has been able to do under the embargo, in terms of its, in areas of science, especially health sciences, the deployment of people throughout the world, especially in disaster times. A lot of young people do not know Cuba played a huge role in the apartheid period, in supporting Nelson Mandela and the ANC. Cuba helped in Angola to independence. Cuba helped in what was called Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe. You know, and all of the African states benefited from Cuba's contribution to their independence and their fight for self-determination. And here in the Caribbean, every single country, if you were to remove Cuban-trained doctors and Cuban doctors from the health system of every Caribbean country, with no exception, the health systems will collapse. I'm saying Cuban-trained, not Cuban doctors, but Cuban-trained citizens of the Caribbean who were trained in Cuba. If you were to withdraw the services, the health system will collapse. And when you look at the sheer value of those scholarships, you can understand the contribution that Cuba is making to our countries. And we are not in the CARICOM supporting Cuba on their call on our call to remove the embargo because of what we received. No. We are doing so as a matter of principle. As a matter of fact, this year will be 50 years since CARICOM-Cuba relations with the pioneers, Barbados, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and Guyana, defying the international order at the time and establishing relations with Cuba. So we have 50 years of relationship that we've had within CARICOM. And the reality is, if you have a brother who is in difficulty, what do you do? You know? And if you have a brother who's been oppressed, what do you do? What do you say? Okay, so it's not an anti-America position. It's a matter of justice and fairness. That's all. As a matter of fact, this afternoon we have the meetings. I have to leave in a while. CARICOM has a meeting with the Vice President of the United States on a number of issues today. Okay.
Thank you, Prime Minister, and thank you to the members of the press for your questions and for being here 2 days running. We appreciate it. Honourable Austria, Honourable Prime Minister, thank you for your presentations. And to all of you, thank you for being here to receive the Prime Minister home. Do find your way safely back to Rosa. Thank you, and good afternoon.